All right, so we're going to take notes over Native American literature. Here's the link to the notes if you need to see them. Oops, I just copied them. Okay. Native American literature began in around 1490, and it went into the mid 1700s. This movement was based mostly on oral tradition. There is very, very little written stories. Most of their stories, if not all of them, were spoken or sang around a fire. These stories, fables, tales, and myths were usually written down later to preserve them. That way they could be retold once our culture came in and took over. Not typically because Native Americans wanted them written down. We wrote them down to preserve them. Nature and elements of nature are the most common aspect of Native American writing. So all stories pretty much are composed of how nature came to be, or how things in this world came to be, or lessons for children using naturistic elements. Some other important characteristics for Native American literature to note are that traditional folk stories did not have authors. Because they were passed down from generation to generation, storyteller to storyteller, it would change each time. You never really knew where this originated. Native American stories were originally spoken, not written, as I had mentioned, and they were shared around the campfire. And they were very animated. These storytellers would wear outfits and headdresses that went with the stories that they were telling. The traditional Indian literature was not meant to be written, and honestly, it can be really boring when being read because it was meant to be performed. It usually has a theme or a message to teach those who are listening, or it can serve as an explanation for abstract concepts. So, for example, a story might explain why trees lose their leaves. So moving forward, we would go back to this document with the picture on it, where we can see our Native American ancestors looking very sadly down on the people who get credit for our country. If you scroll down, there are several Native American stories. I think there are 5 of them. They're very short. Yep, there are 5 of them. What you're going to do today is I'm going to break you up, and you are going to read 2 of those Native American stories and discuss them with your table partner.